What if I told you that UConn's perimeter is the quiet, deadliest part of their defense, anchored by a trio you might not yet fully appreciate?
Prime Field!
Welcome Prime Field Nation. At Gamble Pavilion, a single box score sketched a tactical shift. UConn recorded a season-high 25 steals in an 85-31 victory over Loyola Chicago, 36 forced turnovers, 45 points off those turnovers, a 41-14 halftime lead. These raw totals frame a central question. How did three perimeter players, KK Arnold, Kayleigh Heckel, and Serah Williams, convert pressure into a repeatable defensive architecture? This film examines that trio. It tracks measurable actions. It follows sequences. Furthermore, it asks whether this perimeter disruption can be sustained and what opponents must do to respond. The examination begins with the players themselves. Serah Williams played 16 minutes against Loyola Chicago. She scored 10 points on 5 of 8 shooting, a 62.5% field goal rate. She recorded 2 steals. Not only that, but she pulled down 3 offensive rebounds. Those numbers describe more than efficiency. They show role flexibility. Williams contributed on both ends in a limited allotment of minutes. Her steals led directly to transition opportunities. Her offensive rebounds extended possessions. UConn committed 16 team fouls in the game. Williams' on-ball aggression did not translate into disproportionate fouling. In practice, Williams' minutes shifted her from situational option to interchangeable wing. The box score does not invent intent. It documents that when Williams was on the floor, she provided perimeter length, rebound support, and conversion and flow. That combination is central to the perimeter disruption thesis. Kayleigh Heckel played 20 minutes and recorded 3 steals. Through 3 games, Heckel accumulated 10 steals, a 3.3 steals per game average. Those figures place her among the nation's high-rate disruptors. Heckel's turnovers altered opponent rhythm. Loyola endured an 11:35 scoring drought that spanned late in the third quarter into the fourth. The timing of Heckel's ball hawking correlated with that drought. Her extended on-ball pressure forced poor decisions and rushed possessions. Offensively, Heckel contributed as well. She scored 5 points on 2 of 6 shooting and converted a 3-pointer. Her handle and shot-making provide a counterweight to the defensive attention she draws. In schematic terms, Heckel is not a single skill specialist. Her presence complicates opponent choices. Guarding her reduces their comfort against both her steals and her offense. KK Arnold logged 28 minutes, 2 steals, and 5 assists. Those figures define Arnold's value as a conversion engine. She does not need a high theft total to influence scorelines. Her assist total demonstrates the translation of defensive disruption into organized offense. Play-by-play sequences highlight this role. After forcing a turnover at 7 over 24 of the second half, Arnold immediately initiated a transition and converted the sequence into a layup at 7 over 20. UConn totaled 14 fast break points in the game. Arnold's combination of steals and assists directly linked to 7 possessions that resulted from her playmaking on turnovers. In short, Arnold serves as the fulcrum. She converts chaos into structure. That conversion amplifies the value of each forced turnover. Game film and box score data show coordinated patterns. In the first half alone, UConn registered 14 steals and led 41-14 at the break. Arnold, Heckel, and Williams combined for 7 of those first half steals. Those contributions were not random. The trio applied varied coverage. Heckel produced extended on-ball pressure. Williams provided roaming help and length on the wings. Arnold positioned for interception angles and rapid outlet passes. The mix of half-court traps, pressure on the ball, and opportunistic lane reads created cumulative disruption. Opponents struggled to establish rhythm. Loyola shot 22% from the field, converting 9 of 41 attempts. The Ramblers also committed 36 turnovers and yielded 45 points off those turnovers. This architecture produced broad benefits. 9 UConn players recorded a steal in the game. The pressure was not a single-player tactic. It spread across personnel and minutes. That distribution made it harder for Loyola to identify a single counter. The data reveals strategic consequences. UConn converted forced turnovers into points at roughly 36 turnovers into 45 points. That efficiency makes turnovers a premeditated offensive lever. Opponents must choose whether to sacrifice half-court options to secure ball handling or to risk transition vulnerability. Against the Huskies trio, coaches face a mathematical trade. Allocating extra personnel to reduce perimeter pressure shrinks offensive spacing and available options. Failing to allocate those resources invites turnovers that result directly in transition points. The trio's tactical roles, Heckel's aggression, Williams' wing length, Arnold's interception positioning and outlet passing, combine to produce both immediate scoring and structural constraints on opponent schemes. Across women's college basketball, some programs rely on standout individual defenders. The brief notes a record 16 steal performance by another player in a single game. UConn's approach differs. The team distributes pressure across 3 versatile perimeter players. That distribution reduces the ability of opponents to neutralize the defense by targeting a single defender. Where some defenses rely on elite individual thefts or full court collapse, this UConn model operates primarily within half-court structures. The trio maintains positional integrity while producing high steal rates and turnover conversion. The result is a hybrid, disruptive perimeter pressure that preserves defensive shape. Through the early season sample, the trio's combination of 7 combined steals, 14 fast break points, and measurable conversion efficiencies establishes a statistical foundation. If Arnold, Heckel, and Williams remain available and reproduce these actions, the perimeter unit could become a consistent feature for the 2025 and 27 cycle. The indicators are specific. Heckel's 3.3 steals per game show sustained ball hawking. Williams' two-way efficiency and offensive rebound totals indicate multi-role capacity. Arnold's assist-to-steal conversion highlights a capacity to turn defense into structure. Together, those markers suggest potential sustainability beyond a single outlier performance. There are measurable risks. First, overexposure. Maintaining a 3.3 steals per game rate requires consistent intensity and minutes. Fatigue is a quantifiable factor that can reduce steal production and increase turnovers committed by the defender. Heckel's early turnover rate points to that balance. Second, offensive load compression. Asking the same trio to preserve defensive intensity while absorbing higher offensive usage could depress efficiency. Williams' promising scoring in limited minutes is not yet proof of consistent high-usage offensive output. If usage rates rise, defensive effectiveness could erode. Third, opponent adaptation. Elite teams with disciplined ball security and high-volume perimeter shooting change the opportunity set. South Carolina, LSU, and TCU are cited as programs that can adjust schematically. South Carolina's documented ball security metrics make steal opportunities scarcer. Opponents that emphasize controlled possessions and spacing can blunt the multiplier effect of forced turnovers. This perimeter disruption unit is an emergent argument, not a verdict. The Loyola Chicago game produced clear, data-driven outcomes: turnovers, fast break points, and distributed defensive contributions. Those outcomes created a template. If the trio's production persists, UConn's defensive profile will shift toward perimeter-centric pressure that converts opponent errors into a structural advantage. The legacy, measured at this moment, is twofold. First, an operational lesson. Defensive value that is distributed across versatile perimeter players can produce both immediate scoring and systemic opponent disruption. Second, a conditional forecast. Continued health, role clarity, and opponent response will determine whether this unit becomes a defining feature of the next championship window. The record remains incomplete. The metrics suggest a repeatable architecture. The question that follows is tactical and statistical. Can this model withstand load, adaptation, and the variability of a long season? The next chapter of UConn basketball will answer that question on the court.
Prime Field!